I'm not going to beat around the bush. In my 20s, I created the worst initiative system for tabletop RPGs I had ever devised. Look, I came at this with the best of intentions. I wasn't trying to deliberately make a bad system. You know, like a player that can hold their breath the longest goes first, or every time someone takes an action, they put a little peanut butter on their face. Hey, if I worked at it, I could create something really terrible. No. I was trying to make something realistic. This is where I discovered the immutable law of nature that the more realistic you make an RPG mechanic, the more complicated it becomes, to the point where it can just be unfun. And it was an important lesson on finding the sweet spot between easy game mechanics and capturing reality. Welcome to the Dead Unicorn, the tabletop role-playing game club. My name is Corey, and I bet you're wondering what this terrible initiative system is and why I'm bringing it up right now. Well, before I start, I hope you'll consider liking and commenting this video. Personally, I'm just glad you took some time to watch, but YouTube has these metrics and incentives trying to get me to bother you about all of that stuff. So if you could just take a second to hit a button or two, thumbs up, comment, maybe subscribe, it's appreciated. In my 20s, I wanted a combat system that could capture the feel of the back and forth of combat. Most notably, swordplay. At the time, I was playing Dungeons & Dragons, but also a game called OmniQuest with my good friend Mike, who created it. He got me thinking about how good games are created, and I wanted to add to that conversation. There are many ways to think about swordplay. For example, the length of weapons. How hard you hit. Is it a light hit or a hard hit? Are light hits faster than harder hits? Where a person is struck and how that wound affects combat. But I started at the beginning. Speed and reaction. The elements of initiative. With this in mind, I created what I call the reactive reflex system. Just a disclaimer here, I don't think that this is all that novel of an idea, and I'm sure that other people have created similar systems. And it may just be part of a tabletop RPG that I just haven't read. But it's not part of most tabletop RPGs, and there's a reason game designers haven't put it in your game. So what do I mean when I say speed and reaction? Well, if you ever played a game of Dark Souls or a similar game like Elden Ring, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, as this is the essential core mechanic of the game. It's all about waiting for that right time to strike. To do this in Dark Souls, you wait for the wind-up animation, or you attack during the recovery animation, timing your strikes when your opponent's guard is down. But how can this work in a tabletop RPG? First, we need to flip initiative on its head. Most games have high initiatives, where the highest one goes first and then you count down from there. For our system, we need low initiatives that count up. So let's take a D10 and subtract our initiative modifier instead of adding it. It's okay if you get a negative result. So the character with the lowest result goes first, and when they perform any action, that action has a speed cost associated with it. Some actions are naturally faster than others. The speed of a dagger might be 3, while a longsword could be 5. Let's say our first character, Sir Stalwart, has an initiative of 2 and wants to attack with their sword. On a 2, they will declare their attack against their opponent, which begins the swing or the thrust of the attack. The attack connects once the initiative goes up by 5 ticks. So on an initiative of 7, the sword connects and the attack roll is made. This is a bit like Final Fantasy or other, video game RPGs where there is a time meter that fills up before you can take your next action. But wait, Stalwart's target is Crafty Jan, and she goes on 3. And that's right in the middle of Stalwart's swing. Crafty Jan has a dagger with a speed of 3, which means she can attack faster than the sword, interrupting the swing. Jan decides to do this, declaring her attack, which connects 3 ticks of the clock later on 6. This is one before Sir Stalwart's sword, allowing Jan to get the drop on him. If Jan does enough damage, she can cause Sir Stalwart to lose his action. Something akin to a concentration check that will interrupt a spell can be used here. Faster weapons doing less damage than slower ones have a natural game balance. A fast weapon could interrupt a slow weapon, but not do enough damage to cause the slower weapon attack to falter. Sir Stalwart is unable to defend against the strike since his sword is in an attacking posture, swinging down or thrusting forward. So Jan could get either a bonus to attack, or Stalwart is unable to give a defense roll in response. I'm not talking about full combat here, just the initiative system, so your results, depending on what your game is, may vary. Jan hits, but Stalwart, true to his name, shrugs off the attack. Then, after Jan's attack, she must recover, bringing the weapon back to ready. The speed of the weapon could also be used for the recovery speed, but you could give each weapon a recovery speed as well. Maybe recovery is a little faster for some weapons, maybe it's a little slower for others. During this time, defenses can't be used because, again, your weapon isn't ready. So Stalwart's attack comes crashing in. But what if, rewinding the clock a little, instead of attacking, Jan wanted to defend? Sir Stalwart has already declared the attack, so she sees it coming. So, instead of attacking on 3, she declares her dagger is put up in a guard. Now the next attack on her, she can roll defense against, or the attacker gets a penalty, or however the combat system works in the game we're using. After defending, her initiative becomes the same number as the attack she just defended, 7 in this case, and she uses her recovery to get her weapon back to ready, bringing the next time she can take an action to 10. Sir Stalwart attacked on 7, but recovery now puts their next action at 12. Now Jan can attack on 10, which connects on 13. Stalwart must decide if they will defend on 12 or attack, thinking that they can tank that dagger damage and deal an even greater blow to Jan. I don't know about you, but on the surface, this seems to be amazing. Sure, you'll lose the idea of rounds because as combat goes on, you simply increase the number, and everyone just goes on higher and higher initiatives. But you get this interplay between combatants that I think is very interesting, making a kind of chess match, thinking a few moves ahead in hopes of getting your opponent flat-footed. And if you're making your own role-playing game, you can even make classes that have special abilities that decrease the speed of attacking with certain weapons, or the recovery time can be reduced, or even create combination attacks or special moves that have their own speed. The possibilities, they spread before me like an endless valley. Sure, there are some drawbacks. For example, non-combat actions in combat. I mean, how many ticks of initiative does it take to pick a lock? How about picking up and throwing a chair at an enemy? There were so many different cases that my mind just started to buzz, but nothing prepared me for when I put it into action. Everyone was confused on who went next, how much time has passed, what the numbers they were on. This was not a system for casuals. This was RPGs on hard mode, and I had gone too far. I had to toss the system away. Nobody appreciated my genius, at least not in my gaming group. This got me to realize there's a sweet spot between complexity and fun in RPGs, and while realism doesn't always mean complexity, whoa, does it skew that way more often than not. When a game finds that spot, it hits hard and good, and I think this is the reason D&D 5e is so popular. But why do I bring up the reactive reflex system now? Well, in a word, technology. Video games can be very complex, but that complexity is hidden behind a computer doing all the computations for you. What this means is a very complex game to learn can also be played by anyone. Sure, there are hardcore players that put in the work to find out exactly how the system works and to use it more efficiently, but a player doesn't need to know all that to have fun. They can just pick up their sword, run out, hit the buttons, and watch the magic happen. And if they wish to go further, there are lots of people out there willing to teach. Now, I came up with these ideas far before they were implemented in video games, but they now have widespread appeal. With the rise of VTTs and the APIs that you can use to modify them, we can create more innovative ways for the computer to do things like initiative. And it could be worth seeing if the reactive reflex system is a fit for this type of gaming. In an RPG made 100% for a VTT, this might be an interesting way to play. And there have been RPGs made with VTTs solely in mind, like Ember. So now, I throw the ball in your court. Has the reactive reflex system time come? Or is it better left in the bin? Thank you for taking the time discussing RPGs with me today. It's really great to have a conversation with all of you all over the internet. Just another reminder to hit that like, and if you want more, hey, I got a subscribe button, it works too. I have a Patreon if you want to buy me a coffee. No matter what kind of system you like to play, remember to take some time out of your life to go roll some dice.